do my thing, you do your thing. Get the open. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm getting over a cold, Ray. So the first thing I want to do is apologize for any nasally sounding things. But you should all be used to it this time of the year anyway.
Yes.
All right? Especially if you're on the East Coast. These little petri dish kids that spread everything out. Actually, I got to give my kids credit. I don't think I got this from them. And they've been pretty good the whole year. After last year, bringing home literally every disease they could find. I'm not kidding. Flu, COVID, cold, RSV, whatever it is, we tested them all. All of them, 0 out of 10 stars. Do not recommend. But this cold that I just got over, pretty normal cold. And it's the little things, right? I have found it easier to get over colds now at my old age than I did years ago because I've experienced a little bit of taste of multiple diseases. And the common cold, Ray, the thing that used to put you and me down when we were younger, down, you eat soup, you're in bed, you don't go to school. Now, day-to-day injury, not even. You're right back on the field. They don't care that you're sick, especially when you're a dad or a husband. They don't care. You just got to keep going about your day. And every woman listening to the show will tell us, yeah, that's what we do all the time. Why can't you do it all the time? And I want you to know, I applaud you all. I agree with you all. And Ray, I'm doing fine. It's sunny here in Philadelphia, 29 degrees.
Oh, 29 degrees.
Well, I'm probably not 29 right now. It was 29 this morning. It's 39 now. Went up 10 degrees.
It's 59 here in LA.
That's
and getting warmer. Yeah, it's gonna reach 70 again today. It'll be 70.
Beautiful time of year to be there.
Yeah, this is the time to be in LA where it's nice, it's sunny, it's in the 70s. You can still go in the pool, or at least I do, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. And I'm like, 70's not that cold.
It's not that cold. And I want to thank you in the audience for allowing me to vent there for a minute. I'm feeling
absolutely
better.
Yes, very good. I'm glad. Also, happy birthday, buddy.
Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It was my birthday. Older I get, the less I care, but I do appreciate when you say that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it was yesterday. I wished you well wishes then. And did you have a good birthday? Was it a good day? I kind of left you alone because I figured you were busy. But was it a good day?
Yeah, I mean, it's two things. It was a Monday, so there's that, and then it was Cyber Monday. So from a business standpoint, I really had to be focused on work. So from a work standpoint, we had a very good day. Executed what we needed to execute. From a birthday standpoint, yeah, it was kind of a quiet day. That's kind of how I wanted it. You know, the people that care about me were there, and the 200 people on Facebook that wished me happy birthday. Thank you all. 200 plus, I should say. And then went out for a little hibachi dinner with the wife, kids, and producer Caitlin. And nice little birthday. I didn't overdo anything this year. I missed the 40th birthday celebration last year because I had COVID.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a great gift for your 40th.
I was in bed the whole day.
So you had pretty much a typical adult birthday. Nice.
Yeah. I'm in my fifth decade of living now, even though I'm in my 40s. The fifth decade I've been alive in terms of the decades of the 80s to now.
Yeah,
but I'm only 41.
Yes, you are 40. You are 41, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you. Enjoy your 30s.
Yes, another 4 months. Yep, coming up fast. Did you mention Cyber Monday? Did you sell a lot of my balls?
You mean this little trinket right here for those of you watching?
Yes.
Actually, Wraparound was the number one seller as usual. But it's funny. It's Giving Tuesday today. We're doubling our donations today. This is today only. So depending on when you're watching this, there might still be time. But for every pack of my balls we sell, we donate a day's worth of meals to a dog or cat in need via the ASPCA. My Ball by Hockey Wraparound.
Fantastic. Well, that is a great cause, my friend, and I am always I'm glad you do it. We got a big show for you, though, everybody. We got speaking. I'm glad you do it. We're glad we're doing the show, Geeks Who Like Sports, as we're heading on the home stretch of 2024. A lot of big stuff on the horizon. We're gonna do as the year winds down, we'll do our game of the year stuff as we usually do, which is usually just me ranting for 20 minutes.
We got just right to the topics today. I'm excited about these.
We're talking a lot of football, a little baseball, and then some stuff that we're watching. As not a lot of big news, but And then, of course, as the season goes on, we'll also get into hockey and basketball as things continue. But not a lot going on there. Still early in the years for those sports. But yeah, NFL Week 13.
Wait. You don't want to talk about the Flyers-Rangers game that I went to where the Flyers beat the Rangers?
Yeah, well, I mean, do you want to talk? Do you want to talk about? So okay, fine. We're gonna start off with hockey. We're gonna completely run down out the window. Hockey. Birthday.
This is the Ray I remember.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about my freaking New York
Rangers. Yeah, what is going on with the Rangers, Ray? What is happening in New York?
Chris Drury, our general manager. Team. No, this is you know what happened?
Seriously.
They announced that they wanted to trade Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba, or it leaked, and that as soon as that leak happened, the Rangers have lost 5 or 6. Yeah. Like it looked like the team completely imploded because now it feels like everybody's figuratively skating on thin ice. Who's going to go? Who's going to stay? There's also, of course, the turmoil that carried over from the offseason with Igor Shesterkin not taking the record-breaking contract of 8 years, $88 million. I think the team's faith is shaken because it seems more like the front office doesn't have faith in them and they don't have faith in the front office. Lee, what are your thoughts on that? On my prognosis?
Look, I'll tell you a few things. I think you're spot on. I think that there's a culture problem within that Rangers locker room right now. That's number one. Yep. I think also your head coach is going to get fired. I think Laviolette's going to get fired here.
Which is a shame because I really do like him.
He's a great coach, but he's going to get fired. And I'll tell you what, there's several coaches out there right now that are experienced that could probably come in. And New York doesn't hire new coaches. We know that.
No, it's a shame because the guy Montgomery from Boston went right to St. Louis when he got fired.
Like almost the same day. Yeah. So
like
there
as
are
soon
coaches
as St. Louis
available.
saw he was available, they're like, "Oh, our coach fired. Hey, come on in, Mr. Montgomery."
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, they may fire Laviolette, and it's not even his fault. But I'll tell you what, Ray, I was at the game last week. It was pretty close to the ice, and it's not ever safe to assume anything on one game that you're watching. But the things I picked up on, and you could make this argument, Laviolette looked frustrated the entire game. Now, you can make the argument that he always looks that way, but he looked visibly angry. Like he did not look
different.
happy.
It's different the last couple of weeks.
And then I'll tell you this, and I haven't said this in years. The Flyers outworked the Rangers.
Yeah.
And the Rangers are a more talented team than the Flyers, outside Matvei Michkov, who's turning out to be a superstar.
Yeah.
But he didn't play that much that game, right? So that Ranger team looks mediocre. They're playing mediocre. They do not have the jump that I've seen them have in the past, that killer instinct.
Yeah.
And the young Flyers team did. Yeah. And they defeated them. And again, it's a nightly occurrence now. They just got trounced by the Devils, which is not something you want to see.
It is, again, they lost 5 of 6.
Someone's about to get fired there. Yeah. But I'll tell you right now that, and I will comment on this thing with the jury. Rumors like that happen all the time.
Yep.
So I'm going to refuse to say that that's the catalyst because that can be addressed.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going is, has that been addressed? Something else is going on there.
Yeah.
Where these guys are not getting along. There doesn't look to be a lot of chemistry. They looked frustrated on the ice.
Yeah.
Like no one was smiling. No one was seemed to be having a good time. And no one looks like that. Watch the game closely. Teams that are winning tend to look like they're having a good time.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Right? Something was off here. And I do want to thank Travis Konechny, the top player going to the Canadian team for the Four Nations face-off, for looking at my niece dead in the eye and tossing her the first start of the game puck after the game.
That's cool.
Right. He came out, he looked, he goes, "You." And I was like, Diana, you're going to get a puck from Travis Konechny. And he came over and I was like, "You." He's like, "Diana, you're going to get a puck from Travis Konechny." He threw the puck in the air and it magically came down right past her hand into the stands, blank. And then we picked it up and she had the first start of the puck game, which was pretty awesome. Cool. And then she tried to scratch off the name that he had signed on there. I was like, no, it's his autograph. Don't do that. And which my brother promptly took the puck, put it in a casing, and now she has a signed Travis Konechny puck at home.
Amazing.
It was a pretty cool moment.
Amazing.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's pretty cool. That's phenomenal. At least you guys had a good time with that game. Yeah, no, I think the
Flyers have been looking great. They've been looking very, very good recently.
Yeah, 2 teams going in opposite directions right now. And I think part of it, and look, I think it's the Rangers, it's a weird mix of really young guys, and you have some veterans now. Mika has
you're going to need a new coach. And again, I love Laviolette, but this is a situation you're going to need a new voice in the room. If they don't win soon, you have to say the locker room's lost. And Ray, I'll say this too. Like, look, if this is the way it works in the sports business, the GM's probably not going to get fired. He's not going to go anywhere. They're not going to fire the GM in the middle of the season. It's the head coaches that get the axe.
Yeah.
And it's on the head coach to solve that situation.
Yeah.
So if the chemistry is not there, they're going to move him along and they're going to pick up a new coach soon. That's imminent.
No, you're absolutely 100% right. And it, especially as other coaches within the Ranger organization have gone elsewhere and thrived.
100%.
It is a chance where if Laviolette goes, it might be time to promote from within even and give somebody a chance the rest of the year to be like, here's your shot. Here's your shot to be the head coach.
You need a new unifier right now.
Yes. And again, I really like Peter Laviolette, but to your point,
He
it looks like that.
They got to start winning right now.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like that team has given up on him. And to your point, I have never seen a Ranger team because it wasn't even before we started losing. I would watch the Rangers in the first period give up multiple goals in the first 5 minutes, constantly flat-footed before the game, like they were unprepared or tired or I don't know what it is. And look, I also know the Rangers had the most days off in the beginning of the season, the first month of the season. They didn't get into a great rhythm. But now that they're catching up to the rest of the league in terms of games played, you need to get your heads out of your butts, guys.
If I'm not mistaken, the Flyers and them are tied in points, and that's saying something about.
I mean, they could be. I mean, the Rangers are 12-9-3 now, I believe.
I'm going to the Rangers right now, and I'll tell you this too: the Flyers. Let's just talk about Matvei Michkov for a minute. I have not seen. I'm making this declaration. I have not seen a occurrence like this since Eric Lindros. I mean, this kid is not just surging as a rookie. He's one of the best players in the league. And if he stays healthy, he is going to cruise to Rookie of the Year. I know Macklin Celebrini out in San Jose is making a run as well. But this kid has 3 overtime goals, game winners, already. That's unheard of for somebody this young. And they're going to him in overtime. Flyers and Rangers are tied at 27 points. The Rangers do have a game at hand.
Yes, Rangers are 13-10-1. Flyers are 12-10.
Both in the wild card right now at this moment. Not that matters.
It's still very early, but we're a quarter of the way through the season, basically, a little bit more. And
well, I'll say that if you're not watching Matvei Michkov, not only is he outpacing Connor Bedard and other rookies, but Ray, he's a force out there. He is trying things. He's not afraid. Again, 3 overtime winners, believe it or not, I think that's tying a record for most overtime winners by a rookie for the Flyers. He's going to get another one. It's real early in the season. This kid is the real deal, and I am excited about him. I have not felt like this, again, since Eric Lindros was drafted. Yeah. That's saying something.
It is something else for sure. Well, since we talked about hockey, wasn't going to talk about basketball. I do want to quickly touch upon the fact that the Knicks are undefeated in group play for the midseason championship, the midseason tournament.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, they play the Magic tonight. The Magic are 15-7 overall, 3-0 in the group. The Knicks are 12-8 overall, 3-0 in the group. So this is basically to see who would be the top seed coming out of Group A. And it'd be interesting to see what the Knicks can do. Knicks have been playing better. Knicks got off to a slow start. Obviously, big trade in the offseason. Guys got to figure out their chemistry. They've been looking a lot better lately. They're 12-8 overall. And I would really just like the Knicks to win something, Lee. Just something.
Yeah, look, you can win this. I really like the midseason tournament. I think that was a great addition by the NBA. I think people that are poo-pooing on it in 10 years, that's not going to be happening.
I agree.
It's not the NBA title.
No.
All right, but it is a title nonetheless, and it deserves a banner, and it's pretty cool. I like that they're doing it. Gives you something to watch for. And like you said, like, look, my Sixers who are playing horrendously.
Horrible.
Right? Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's an interesting aspect of the season.
Yes.
Again, they do this in Europe, and we love it. It's a big championship over there.
Yes. Not as much. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this takes off, like you said, as time goes on. Lakers won it last year. We'll see who wins it this year.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, too, is like, well, it's just halfway through. Who cares? Like, no, it's about how you play a team the first time. Like,
yeah,
like it's more than just a midseason. Yeah,
with some stakes, right?
Yeah, I like that about it. It's like, no, you got to show up for these first games. They matter, right? I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I was very much against it last year, but I think it's starting to grow on me a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool.
I still think some of the crazy courts are a little too crazy, but
Yeah, they are crazy. I'll give you that. I don't know if we needed that, but I just like the idea of there being stakes.
Yes.
And meaning to these first games of the season of show up prepared, because like it's true. You could be the first place team in the league and not make this tournament. It's very possible.
Absolutely.
So it's good stuff.
Good stuff. So look at that. Football gets knocked down to the third topic of the day. Great. We call an audible on the show lineup in the show.
Just saving the best for last.
Yes, well, wait, we're saving baseball then?
We're talking. Oh, it is here. But I see baseball in the rundown.
I have a lot to say about that.
That can't be real, but we'll get to it in a few minutes. I don't believe that's real at all.
Oh boy. Anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. A little bit more of a tease there, folks, as we look at the NFL. First off, we start with the 3 terrible games on Thanksgiving, and they were 3 terrible games.
That's predicted.
The Bears and Lions. The Bears end up forgetting they have a timeout, and when I have a chance to possibly tie the game and go to overtime. The clock management was so bad that Lee, for the first time in Bears history, the Bears have been around for 100 years. They fired their coach mid-season. That's how bad of a screw-up it was. The Bears have not lost. You're fired. I believe it's 6 in a row the Bears have dropped. The bottom has fallen out. There's talk about benching Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has said to be the worst mistake Chicago ever made. That team has gone completely off the rails in a short period of time, whereas the Lions are like, we're just warming up for the Super Bowl, baby. Let's go. Eat that turkey leg. First time, by the way, in 7 years or 8 years, 7 losses in a row. The Lions had Thanksgiving. They lost 7 in a row. The Lions finally win on Thanksgiving, and they were good last year. They still lost on Thanksgiving. The Detroit Lions running away. Shouldn't say running away, because the Vikings and Packers keep winning too. But clearly, along with the Eagles, we'll get to them in a second, the creme de la creme in the NFC. Lee, what was your thoughts on this first of 3 terrible Thanksgiving Day games?
The first thing I'm going to say, I've been saying it for years, that there should be a clock management coach.
Yes.
Now, with that said, I don't know how this happens the way it happened. I don't understand. It was just everybody froze. You deserve to be fired after that.
Yeah.
Like that's horrible, horrible. Just misjudgment on everything by every player, by the coach.
Yes. Nobody thought to call the timeout.
Just even the announcers, like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
So, not the way you want your league represented on Thanksgiving. That should have been a nail biter going into overtime.
Yep. Speaking of not what you want to represent the league on Thanksgiving, Giants Cowboys, the battle of the second and third string quarterbacks. I honestly, I'm glad I didn't watch. I watched 2 minutes of this and was like, the Giants have given up. They're going to I think they're going to fire Shane and Dable at this point. Definitely Shane, the general manager. Yep. I think he's done. Or there's a chance they keep Dable, but it depends on who they bring in to replace Shane.
Dable might deserve another year. Your GM needs to be fired immediately.
Absolutely, 100%.
Just embarrassing. I'm sorry to him and his family, but bad buddy.
Yeah.
I will say that whoever made that decision to go on Hard Knocks needs to be fired.
100%. Unfortunately, I think it's the owner, John Mara.
Fired.
I think,
even though he can't fire that guy, but fired.
Unfortunately, not. I do want to say, if Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, is available this year, he wasn't last year because he said he had unfinished business, but I think this year he's definitely going to take a coaching job. If he is available, then you fire Dable too, and you go get Ben Johnson. I get he's the hot hand right now, and you always take a risk with a coordinator who's never been the head coach before. I think you got to go with the hot hand there if he's available, because a lot of folks who are saying, "Oh, he's going to go to the Bears." The Bears aren't going to pay for him. The Bears historically are very cheap when it comes to paying their head coaches. I think that's what's going to keep. If Ben Johnson is about the money and wants to go to the best possible job. Is he's going to want to draft? Does he want to draft somebody with the Giants? Because we already know the Giants are going to have a top 3 pick and going to get a quarterback. Does he want to draft somebody with the Giants, or does he want to go and try and fix Caleb Williams in Chicago? if I was the head coach, I'm not just saying this as a Giants fan, I'd want to draft my own guy.
Yeah.
Right. And you hitch your wagon to that guy, not somebody else's guy. That's typically what NFL coaches like to do. But we'll see. He could also go somewhere else because I think there might be a coaching change in Jacksonville. I think we're going to start seeing the carousel really start to spin quickly around the NFL very soon. But yeah, Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys might have a coaching opening. McCarthy, people were like, oh, McCarthy's 5-7 now. Yeah, he beat the Giants. The Giants are terrible. That's not, you shouldn't be excited, Cowboy fans.
Yeah,
like
they were too. It was like, geez, guys, this is where you're at. This is the mediocrity now that you're at.
Yeah. And exactly. The Cowboys, that is what it is. They are mediocre at best. At best. And then, of course, the final game of Thanksgiving, Green Bay versus Miami. Not a bad game. Again, not surprisingly, the best of the three, but the Dolphins going up to frigid Lambeau Field. They were unprepared. They were freezing their tuckuses off. And the Packers' home field advantage proved to be too much of a difference. We also had an ugly, ugly game where it looked like I hate to say it, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, but boy, does it look like the refs gave the Chiefs another one on Black Friday against the Raiders, because that was a disgraceful end to that game as well.
It was.
With the false start then turned into an illegal motion so that the fumble could then be the play's not blown dead and the fumble goes to the Chiefs. And look, I get it doesn't come down to the last play, but that is a bad way for that game to end on a national stage with a team that people already feel get way too much the benefit of the doubt. And I was also rooting for the Raiders because it would have helped the Giants draft pick. But a weird slate of early weekend games, Lee, over Thanksgiving weekend. Do you have thoughts on Packers, Dolphins, Chiefs, Raiders? What are your thoughts on the Chiefs end of the Chiefs Raider game?
Yeah,
that penalty.
You know, my thoughts are, right? Like, the refs have to know that narrative. So it's like, God, can you imagine having to make that call and announce it to everybody? It's like, oh my God, was it the right call?
I don't think so. That's the thing. I think that should have been a false. Like, a lot of folks saying that should have been a false start, and that would have nullified the play.
I know,
not an illegal motion.
Yeah,
like
it's one of those things of, I don't know what's happening, that what they see to do that. I don't know if there's a bias. There's definitely not a script. So very interesting stuff is what I'll say. But it's annoying. It's annoying, right? Because you want to see the game be decided by the game, not by the refs.
Yes. And it feels like whenever the Chiefs play, the refs are in on it. It feels like that. It really
does
starting
feel
to.
Like that, but it's going to come back on them at some point.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Big day on Sunday. Minnesota came back to knock off Arizona. Indianapolis beat the Pats to stay alive ever so slightly in the AFC playoff picture. The Seahawks came back to beat the Jets. Surprise, surprise. Washington gets back on track, knocks off Tennessee in a big way. No surprise there. There's just a huge gap in talent. But we're going to go down to Jacksonville, Lee, for this one. Azeez Al-Shaair, the linebacker for the Texans, suspended 3 games today for his hit to the head on Trevor Lawrence that will likely keep Trevor Lawrence out for at least another week, if not more.
Yeah, I'll be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, most likely. It was a vicious hit. But there's also a lot of football folks now pushing back and being like, this is as much on Trevor Lawrence as it is on the linebacker, because and a lot of people are starting to push for the fact that quarterbacks should stop sliding because it leaves them so unprotected. And it's hard because Al-Shaair already did start his dive when Trevor started his slide. And did Al-Shaair do everything he did to get out of the way? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't believe so. But
I'm not blaming Lawrence on this one.
But it does bring up a good argument about, should NFL quarterbacks stop sliding and start diving shoulder first, or letting themselves be tackled normally, of course, and of course they risk injuries in other places. But we've seen this now through a lot of quarterbacks, particularly this year. The concussions don't happen on sacks; they happen on scrambles. Lee, what was your thought on this play? Because again, I think that there's more blame on Al-Shaair, but I do think that Trevor Lawrence there is an argument to be made that he didn't do enough to protect himself either.
No, I'm putting it all on Alshire here. Like, here's the deal, dude. Like, he was clearly sliding. What are you diving for? Like, his intent was to do that, I think. I'm not saying concuss him, but his intent was to hit him when he was kind of going down.
Yeah.
I think they made that change last year that QBs can't fake slide anymore, correct? Like, because Baker Mayfield used to do that, right?
Yeah, I think Mahomes still does it, but again, that's because the refs are in the bag. But
the rule should be very clear of if you initiate a slide, you have to slide. If you do anything outside of that, you're going to be penalized. He was clearly sliding. The hit was really late. It wasn't like as he was sliding. It was very obvious he was going to slide. So should they keep sliding? I don't know. I mean, I think that rule, what I just said, if you initiate a slide, you can't fake it. That'll stop the hits right away. Right?
Yeah.
So, no, you can't hit the quarterback. You know that. That's the way the rule is. It's a quarterback's league. You can't injure the guy. You got to know better than that. So, that's a quarterback advantage on the slide. But, yeah, if you're going down, I think you're not expecting to get a 300-pound guy into your head.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It also proves that it doesn't matter how pretty you are, how good you are. If you slide and get hit in the head by a 350-pound guy, you're going to get concussed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but no, very unfortunate thing there for Trevor Lawrence, who did tweet out that he was feeling much better the day after the game. But
he'd be down for a while.
I mean, honestly,
in the season.
I don't think with nothing to play for the Jaguars, right? Like, I think that you just ride with your backup. I think it's Mac Jones and just deal with it.
Why not? Yeah, that's what you got to do right now. Like, why would you risk that?
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, so unfortunate there. A really fun Monday night. Well, actually, we'll go to Monday night before we go to the Eagles. We'll backtrack the Eagles Ravens. And we'll also really quickly want to mention Buffalo in the snow dismantling the Niners.
Yep.
I mean, I'll say this: if Buffalo can get home field advantage, if the Chiefs can lose one more game, because again, Buffalo has the tiebreaker in the head-to-head. If the refs will allow the Chiefs to lose another game, I think Buffalo is the team in the AFC if the playoffs go through Buffalo, because boy, did the Niners look absolutely shell-shocked in the snow. And the Bills are having fun, man. I mean, you talked about it earlier with hockey. When guys are winning, they're having fun. The Buffalo Bills are having the most fun in the Josh Allen era I have seen. League, any thoughts on San Fran and Buffalo?
What was fun about that game, Ray, was that it brings you back to the schoolyard in the winter on the days of school. I mean, that's what I loved about that game. It was, the Bills obviously having a lot of fun out there. We talked about fun earlier with hockey.
Yeah.
It was a fun game, right? It was fun to watch. It reminds you that this is a kid's game at the end of the day, right? That's my big takeaway from that game, the Snow Bowl. I love that they kept going, and they're building this new stadium, which will have exactly the same problem. It's pretty well. They put a roof over the seats. I'm like, it's not going to stop the snow from piling up the way it does, but it'll help.
It'll help. It'll help the fans.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of.
So,
kind of. Snow comes at an angle. It'll help one side of the stadium.
Yes, it'll help some of the fans.
Yes. So, but I'm not wrong, right? I remember playing football in the snow as a kid. That play was just like, oh, that's so much talent. I'm like, that's schoolyard football. Give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun to watch. And yeah, the Niners are probably done after that one.
They are done after that.
Yeah, especially because Christian McCaffrey got hurt again, and his season is again in jeopardy. And that too, honestly, at this point, probably should shut him down.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. Browns and Broncos. The Browns, Jameis Winston, the most Jameis Winston stat line ever. 497 yards, 4 touchdowns, including some amazing plays to Jerry Jeudy, and 3 interceptions. He threw 6 touchdowns overall, Lee, 4 to his team and 2 to the opposing team. 2 pick sixes, and those were the difference in a 9-point loss to the Broncos, who now have a stranglehold on a playoff spot in the AFC at 8-5.
Which we were talking about last week.
Yes. It was just a big win. The Broncos did what they had to do at home against a reeling Cleveland team. And now, I mean, they're pulling away from their pack. They have a 2-game lead over the Colts, who right now are the 8th seed in the AFC, and with 4 to play, that's a almost insurmountable gap. But we'll see what Denver does down the stretch. But I will say this too: if Cleveland doesn't take a quarterback in the draft, folks, Jameis Winston has to be your quarterback. I don't want to I don't even want to say Watson's name ever again, right? Like, that's it. That's the last time I'm going to say it. He is done. Jameis Winston is your guy, honestly, because I'll say this. He may not be the best quarterback, but boy, is he fun to watch. And it is clear that team believes in him and that he can lead that team. And he doesn't have the best record, but then again, Cleveland didn't have the best record with the other guy either. If you draft well, Cleveland could at least be a playoff contender. I'm not going to say division or AFC, but a playoff contender again very quickly if they draft well. I think with Winston at the helm. Lee, your thoughts?
I would agree with that. I think that the problem with Cleveland is just decision making in general, right? Letting guys go that they shouldn't let go. I mean, like we talked about championship culture a few weeks ago, Ray. Yeah, got to get some of that.
Yeah. Maybe go make a trade for some guys or something, but definitely not a championship culture in Cleveland, and has not been for a very, 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 very long time. All right, Lee, your Eagles.
Yes.
The last game we're going to talk about in the NFL.
Yes, Ray. The
Eagles beat the Ravens, who, by the way, this was a fun fact. The Ravens are 8-5. Right now, they currently hold the 6th seed in the AFC. They've, by their 5 losses, by a combined 22 points.
Yes.
Those 22 points, all missed kicks by the once automatic Justin Tucker, including he left 7 points on the board on Sunday. And when you lose by 5, that has to really, really just it just sticks in your craw if you're a Ravens fan. But Lee, it hurts. But Lee, your Eagles, again, it's Lions and Eagles. The NFC Championship should be Lions and Eagles. It's that simple.
Pretty clear at this point. They're both Super Bowl caliber teams.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
The defense, we have to shout out the Eagles defense from Sunday. Just played a fantastic game against the Ravens. I mean, they had not let up. I think you said it before, but like most of their opponents had not held them to below 20 points, and the Eagles have done that.
Yeah.
And then just doing what you have to do. I mean, and look, you know, it's funny. Both running backs were kind of having a slow game, and you just knew whichever running back was going to score first is going to win the game. Saquon had a breakout. He got a touchdown, and I'm like, that's the game. You know, that's the game at that point.
Yep.
Literally the game of inches at that point. But I think this solidifies. You can disagree with me, Ray, if you want, but this solidifies that the Eagles are a Super Bowl caliber team. They're 100% back.
Yes.
Nick Sirianni making me look like a genius 6 weeks ago when I said that, he might be protecting the team. There hasn't been too much talk of any of these players since that week. It's been nothing.
Nobody's calling for Hurts, saying he's a bust. Nobody yet. Suddenly, nobody talking about the receivers.
Right. I think this guy the guy's got big cojones, man. Like, he put the whole team on his back, and it's like, okay, if we don't win, I'm fired anyway. And they have not lost a game since.
He pushed them all in the middle. He said, this is it. I'm going ride or die, do or die.
God bless
all
him.
in.
Yeah. And when you look at the rest of the Eagles' schedule, Pittsburgh obviously poses a massive threat.
Sure.
But outside the NFC East, being the NFC East, there's no team on there that really they should lose to at this point. That doesn't mean they won't. If we clinch a playoff spot and we throw in our backups, obviously anything's possible in the final couple weeks.
Absolutely, right?
All right.
Yeah, you just got one game against Washington, right? Like,
we play the whole division to end the season.
Yeah, so I mean,
Washington, Dallas, Giants. That's our last 3 games.
You should maybe Washington upsets you, but you should absolutely beat Dallas and absolutely beat the Giants.
Yeah.
And again, at that point, like you said, if it looks like that, Detroit is gonna if say you lose to Pittsburgh and Detroit keeps winning and you're 2 games out now of that 1 seed, maybe you rest your guys, maybe you drop another one, maybe you lose to Washington.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say it again. They'll be fighting for a playoff position at that point. Yeah, I'd say it's unlikely that we still will be.
All yes, right? The East is yours. Washington should be a wild card.
Right. Right. And that might be close to solidified by that point too. But that's listen, they're right where they need to be. This is not like last year, right?
No.
Like they seem to be getting better every single week right now.
Yeah.
All right. And again, what I saw last week, it was when Saquon was really flying high here the last 4 or 5 weeks, which was great.
Yeah.
Like this was a game where it's like, okay, they're going to target him and they're going to slow him down. And he had to make, and this is for those of you listening, the difference between a championship caliber team and a not championship caliber team. You have to have one breakout play in this game if you're Saquon Barkley. Just one, right? Like, again, when we're playing some of the other teams, it's like it's a field day. You have to get a touchdown, and he did it. And I remember watching that play like, that's it. This reminds me of the Super Bowl Eagles from 2017, 2018. It's like you got to make the one big play.
Yeah.
Right? In the Super Bowl, it was obviously getting Tom Brady to fumble the ball. This last game, Saquon had to break and do this. And everybody else played fine. But this was a defensive battle. And, we came out on top. And again, our defensive coordinator is fantastic, which we talked about this at the end of last season. It might have been the coordinators. But I'm going to say it again, man. You want to win big, you got to make big risks. Nick Sirianni made one of the biggest risks I've ever seen in my life just over 7 weeks ago. Shaving his head, going crazy on the media, going crazy on the fans. He put all the attention on himself. Mm-hmm. And I do believe he meant to do that. And they have been undefeated since.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing stuff. You know what he didn't do? He didn't freeze on the end of the game when he could have got a field goal and tied the game.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Ravens are still a great team.
Just
it wasn't their day.
No, absolutely not. They've been playing. Yeah. And then too, they've been playing. They're a team that is the definition of inconsistency.
Yeah.
And they're
for years now.
We were talking about them possibly again in the AFC. It's Chiefs, Bills, maybe Steelers. I don't consider the Ravens in that Super Bowl conversation anymore because they play games like this, and it just feels like they find ways to lose when other teams find ways to win. They're a good team, not a great team.
Right.
So, but anyway, that does it for NFL. Moving now over to college. Another exciting week in college football. A couple of big upsets. Syracuse over number 6 Miami.
Upsets. Yeah.
Unranked Michigan over Ohio State.
Again.
Yes. Unbelievable. 4 in a row. Look, the Wolverines will be a bowl team, just not a big bowl. They'll go to, I don't know, the Mayonnaise Bowl or something. But a big win in a rivalry game, and an ugly game. Like, this was a game that Ohio State should have won. Yeah, had their chances to win. What can you say? That's college football. Upsets happen. Michigan made enough plays to win. Them too didn't play particularly well. Had some chances at the goal line that they blew and came away with. There was 3 points scored in the entire second half, and they were Michigan's. They won 13-10.
Yeah.
I still think Ohio State and Miami, obviously, I think should be playoff teams, but obviously they're going to be farther down in the rankings now than they were.
Well, I don't know if you saw the rankings today, Ray, but
I have not seen the rankings yet.
So Miami's 14 right now. They're out.
Oh.
And it's unlikely that they are going to get back in. So these are the big updates here. So obviously OSU is still in. They're at 7. They're fine. They're going to be in the playoffs. In fact, I don't know if they have any. I'm going to look right now. They have no games left. So they're pretty safe at this point.
Right.
But when you go back and look at this again, who's in danger right now? It would be a very interesting spin of events if this was to happen. The Crimson Tide, Alabama, number 11 right now with no games left to play.
Yeah,
So it's unlikely they will go out, but you got to look at the teams beneath them. So ASU is in the 12th spot right now. They have a very big game against Iowa State, who's ranked 18.
Yeah.
All right. Or they were ranked 18, excuse me. Right. There's some things that could happen here. This is exactly what you want if you're watching these games. All right. I'm looking at the top 25. So I'm sorry. ISU is 16 and ASU is 12. So if ISU can beat ASU, you have a really interesting situation here where I don't think Bama will be out of the playoffs just because it's Bama. But they are towing the line here. Everybody else basically moved up 1 or 2 spots because of the OSU loss. Top 3 right now: Oregon, Texas, PSU, Penn State, and Notre Dame is in 4, which is where they want to be. So interesting week again, thus proving this is the best college football week ever or best season ever. But yeah, Miami's out of the playoffs right now, buddy, and I think they're going to stay out.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a thing where I get it's Alabama, but to me, it bothers me that a 9-3 team is going to go ahead of several 10-2 teams, right?
Well, that's how they do it. And I'm going to say again, like they're in an interesting spot here. Like, South Carolina's in 13. They don't have a game this week. I mean, this is going to be an interesting, situation here. Ole Miss doesn't have a game, this week, and the season's basically over, obviously. But it's just, a few teams have games, and you could see this potentially move around.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. You got, like you said, you got potential for shakeups here. Obviously, Oregon, number one, Texas,
they're
the top four are pretty
well, actually,
much
I'm sorry. The Big Ten, the next game for Oregon, do you know who it is?
Who?
Big Ten championship game against Penn State.
Oh, that's right. So, yeah, actually, you could, in theory, if Penn State were to win that game, the two of them could flip. Like, I would not see Oregon. I don't see Oregon falling out of the top four. But remember, if Penn State wins that game and wins the Big Ten, they get a bye, and Oregon would slip into the I guess, like the wild card round of the playoffs, even if they have a better record than like half the teams in it.
Right. And then Texas plays Georgia for the SEC championship this week. So it's an interesting situation here.
Well, and that's the thing. Does then that what's Georgia's 9-3 as well, aren't they?
Yes.
Does that if Texas wins that, does that knock Georgia out completely?
I'm sorry, Georgia is 10-2. I apologize.
10-2. My apologies. Okay, but that too. But then they're a 3-loss team, right?
Yes. Well, the only 3-loss teams that are ranked currently is Alabama, and that's it.
In the playoff, right? They're the only one that's in the playoff.
In the playoff, the next 9-3 team after them is South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Clemson.
Yeah, and they've already said that Ole Miss and Clemson are basically those guys are all done. So
it'll be interesting. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting week.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun. College football, we've talked about it before in the show. It's the most fun college football has been in a long, long time.
Yep.
And of course, we will talk about the playoffs and the final bracket and once it's solidified here on the show. Speaking of trying to make things more fun, Rob Manfred has been desperately trying to make baseball more fun the last few years. And some things have worked. The game is faster. I don't mind the extra inning rule in the regular season. But he's proposed something. He proposed something on a podcast. It came out a few weeks ago, and it kind of just started to get some traction. I haven't listened to it, so I don't know if he was just spitballing. I don't know if this was something that they're actually considering. People have made it sound like it's something they're actually considering. And I will say this: if this is actually implemented, I may just stop watching baseball. Like that's how dumb this rule is. Supposedly, it has been kicked around the idea of an MLB golden rule. This rule, as it is right now, potentially would allow one player to have an at-bat at any time when obviously their team is on offense. So to possibly to change the game, right? So like for the Kansas City Royals, they got the bases loaded in the fourth inning, and Bobby Witt could be 6 hitters ahead or 5 hitters ahead, and they're like, oh no, we're gonna have Bobby Witt hit now because it could be the biggest moment of the game, or it could be bottom of the 9th, and the Yankees are down by a run, but Aaron Judge just batted in the 8th. Well, now Aaron Judge is going to lead off the 9th again. Or we're going to put him with 2 outs in the 9th, right? Suddenly just randomly throwing out lineups, throwing out everything, and just be like, yeah, here's the biggest, almost like it's an exhibition charity softball game or something. We're just going to throw out all the rules, everything about it, and you know what? You get a bonus at bat, golden rule time, my friend of mine, it's banana ball. It's a Savannah banana rule kind of thing. And as much as I love the Savannah Bananas, that should not be their rules should not be the vast majority of them should not be in Major League Baseball. And it's that kind. It's kind of almost like a globetrotter, just ridiculous. The rules go out the window. If this is actually being considered by Manfred, I am going to drive back to New York, to the Major League offices, and I am going to find him, and and I'm going to throttle his neck and be like, you cannot do this anymore to baseball. You cannot keep ruining it. You must stop. Lee, what are your thoughts on this golden rule proposal?
I think you're all getting played. I think it's a slow time of year for baseball, and they're doing anything they can to get you guys talking because, first off, in a sport that takes decades to make any worthwhile changes, they are not going to institute a golden rule batting lineup change anytime soon, if ever. Number two, the commissioner's job is to operate in the best interests of the sport. This is not in the best interests of baseball. You have a lineup card for a reason. That's how the game is played. If you get to the top of the bottom of the ninth and your bottom three batters are there, that's who's up to bat. That's how it works. They have to show up. Some of the most magical moments in baseball history were in those moments.
Yes.
Okay? So, no, not to mention in a era where there is a luxury tax, you can buy that at bat, and some teams can't. It is
or choose
a
not
horribly stupid idea. Yeah. I'm going to say this again publicly. It is not realistic. They are not thinking about doing it. They are playing all of you into talking about baseball right now.
Yeah,
that would be the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and the most uncharacteristic thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
the MLB do. If that happens before we get a robotic strike zone,
yes. Which does sound like they are getting closer to.
Yeah, I'll stop watching baseball. Why would you do that? Oh, it's more exciting. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Do a midseason tournament. All right. I can't. What do you? It's like, in the NHL. In the NHL, you can't shoot twice in a shootout. Now, in Major World Juniors, you can, but that's a World Juniors thing. Yeah. Okay, in the NWH, I'm sorry, the PWHL, you can have the same shooter over and over again.
That's to be fair, in the NHL, you have to go through the entire lineup once. You technically could. We've never had a 19
They've
round
gotten close,
shootout.
But yeah, it's never happened.
Right.
We'll ask Merrick Malik about that one 20 years ago. All right, but look that up, people, if you don't know what I'm talking about, of the Rangers. Yes. Merrick Malik was one of the greatest shootout goals of it. Probably was the greatest shootout goal in history.
Absolutely, yes.
I remember watching that live many moons ago in college.
In my 20s.
But and again, the PWHL started their league with that rule, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But after over 100 seasons, you're getting played. Not real. False, fake news.
Good.
You agree with me, right? There's no way they're really considering.
I would be so. I would. That's what I'm saying. Like, my head would explode if this happened because I just can't. I just can't see
it's not
being
real.
Being seriously considered.
How about this? You want to talk about ruining a team? Imagine getting in that position and being told you're not going up to bat.
Yeah,
we're gonna put Judge up again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Some of the guys would be like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
Yeah.
What happens if Judge strikes out?
Yeah, that would be funny. He probably will, but
imagine the pitchers union be like, "What? Come again? No, I just struck him out last inning. I don't need to do that again."
Well, then that's the thing is then like what? Well, golden rule. Okay, fine. You know what? I'm going to bring my starter back to face that guy.
Yeah, for one.
Say I pulled him out of the game. Like I'm going to bring back. I'm going to use another reliever from earlier.
Going to create some more Tommy John surgeries. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Dummies. Anyway. Not real. Fake news.
Fake. Hopefully fake. All right, so that's the sports section. Moving on now to geekdom. Not a ton of geek news, but Lee and I have been watching a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice stuff out.
I've been watching some movies. Lee's been watching some TV. Lee, let's start with TV. We got some Star Wars stuff. We got some Netflix stuff with Cobra Kai. What are your thoughts so far on the Star Wars Skeleton Crew show? I have not watched it.
You should watch it. I'll tell you what. It was kind of presented as Star Wars is going to do kind of a Stranger Things and Goonies type show. Yeah. So naturally, we were all like, okay. If you nail it.
Young adventure kind of thing.
Dude, they are nailing it. It's fun. So first off, if they start out with an introduction that's very Star Wars-y. I'll say it that way. But the main characters, who are all kids, are really fun. And they kind of live in a suburban environment that we're all very familiar with in the sense of like, if you grew up in suburbia, you understand this. And the kid's infatuated with the Jedi and the Sith. And it's like, they're telling the story the right way of like, this is you at 10 years old. Yeah. All right. And again, a little bit of a teaser. They obviously stumble across a ship in the most, Goonies way you can think of.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this first episode. The characters are very different in the best way possible when you're putting an ensemble cast together.
Yep.
And I'm really excited to see where this is going, Ray. It really captures kind of the kid feeling of Star Wars, like when you and I were kids.
Mm.
And I always appreciate that, coming back in touch with that. And there's two different forms of that. Like when Luke Skywalker showed back up in The Mandalorian, that was tapping on like 10-year-old Lee, 10-year-old Ray of like, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker. This one feels like, oh, I'm 10 and I'm in Star Wars.
Nice.
Okay. So I really highly recommend this. And it's like every great kid dream. It's like the kid's late for school. He doesn't want to be in school. They're trying to put him on a test to see where he's going to be. He just wants to dream. And it's like, yeah, I get along with shows like that. I'm going to watch the second episode tonight. I really would recommend you take a peek at this one, Ray. It's quite good. And again,
did they drop the whole season all at once for this one?
Just the first 2 episodes.
First 2 episodes, got it.
But it's just got that nostalgia feeling that I really love. Like what I love about Stranger Things is the 80s kind of component to it, right? Especially for people our age who kind of remember the 80s. But like there's that nostalgia with it, with a great story. Obviously, Goonies took place in the 80s, so there's nostalgia with that now. But this feels like kind of Star Wars we grew up with that modern twist. And there's a lot of great little cameo Easter eggs, not characters, but like, oh, there's the droid from Disney World. And like, oh, there's the wolf that we saw in the bar in the first movie we've never seen again with the red eyes. Like little things like that are really, really great. So I recommend at least starting with Skeleton Crew. I don't know where it's going to go, but I think the writers, they have Favreau and Filoni are behind it, which is a good deal. I mean, they're overseeing this thing.
Stamp of approval.
Anything they do, I will watch. If it's Kathleen Kennedy, I think twice.
Yes.
All right, but Filoni, I know she has to green light these too, but Filoni and Favreau, it's a great feel. Episodes are 45 minutes, 35 minutes. It's something, if you got nothing to do, I would definitely check it out.
Fair enough.
It's not going to be the same for my next review.
Oh, so the second half of season 6 of Cobra Kai.
Second third, it turns out.
Third. Okay.
The second third. I thought it was the second half. It's the second third of Cobra Kai. Ray,
there's a reason why this has not been on my feed, I think, a lot. After considering how much Cobra Kai, the first 5 seasons were celebrated, and season 6, which of course is the final season. They said final season
before the movie, but it's going to have Jackie Chan in it when they combine those two multiverses. This is what I'm going to say. If you've been watching the series, if you've watched all 5 seasons, watch season 6. Okay, because it's not.
You got to finish it at this point, basically.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's not horrible to the point you can't watch it.
Right.
It's fun in that sense, but like if you haven't started watching this show, oof. So this is what I'll tell you. They're pretty much out of ideas.
Yeah.
To the point that they're kind of like elevating stuff to a level. It's like, what are you doing? The writing is not great. It's got a few moments that are like, ha, I get that's funny. But overall, this second half is not good. So hold on. just to set it up, I actually went back, Ray, and I watched the first couple episodes after this just because I had a moment. They are so much better from character development, from setting the story of like, oh, Johnny was the good guy, kind of things like that.
We even said it after season 5. They ran out of gas then. I was shocked they went into a season 6.
So at the end of season 5, they talk about the Saikai Taikai, which is this big international all-valley tournament, basically.
Right.
And the first third of the season was selecting who's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the second third of the season is they're there.
Okay.
And I won't spoil it, how it ends. But it's like, it's just not great. The writing is not great. I mean, there's a lot of characters moving in and out. I mean, there's a storyline that's like, there's no possible way they could have accomplished what they accomplished.
Yeah.
it's just getting stupid now. So
Well, fortunately, it's over.
yeah. I was gonna say that. Like, and again, the way the season ends, like the nail biter that they tried to end it on,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh come on. And it's not like they left me hanging. It's like they
Right.
did something, and it's like, come on, guys. Like this is stupid now. This is that.
Yeah.
I'll say this. How about this? If you practice martial arts, I think the first 4 or 5 seasons, you could have been like, okay, this is Karate Kid. It's fun. This is an insult to people that study martial arts.
Wow.
That's what I think I'm going to say. It's not an insult to the Karate Kid. It's very Karate Kid-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But
it jumped the shark. It jumped the shark.
It's too much. It's too much, man. The writing is bad. Again, there was a few lines that were like great, but it's lost its spark. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to say like Johnny and Daniel working together. It's vanilla. It's like that was the whole show. That you guys couldn't get along.
Yeah.
And then, Kreese, again, I don't want to give away too many spoilers. And some of the other villains that are in the show.
Yeah.
It's like, really, again, like it's too much.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's really kind of why I got tired after season 4 is it's like, okay, we see the formula here and it's tired now.
Yeah. Well, there's too many main characters too.
And they kept pushing. Yeah.
Season 1 ended so well with the All Valley. Season 2 ended so well with Miguel getting completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Like he broke his back.
Yeah.
And then season 3 and 4, where it's like, okay, there's the All Valley, there's Cobra Kai, Kreese
and there's
back,
the fan service.
Silver is back.
All the characters.
Yeah. But like now it's like, all right, guys, you're losing me. Again, I'm going to finish it. It's not so bad you can't watch it, but it's not great.
But it jumped the shark. Fair enough. Well, while Lee was watching Star Wars and Cobra Kai, I went to the movies. And I saw a couple of different movies.
Were you entertained?
It's screening season. There's a lot of special screenings going around all Hollywood, which is great because I love, more than movies, I love free movies. Yeah. So I'm going to save the big one for the second one. I saw George Clooney and Brad Pitt star in an Apple TV movie called Wolves.
Wolves.
Yes, and
Wolves.
It
not
is
wolves, not
Wolves. WOLFS.
Yes.
Because the idea is that they are both fixers in New York City. Basically, the Harvey Keitel character from Pulp Fiction, right? A mess is made that only certain people can clean up, and you have a special number if you are connected enough. And you call in George Clooney or they call in Brad Pitt.
Right.
Well, a murder happens, an accidental murder that's connected to a Manhattan. This is the first 5 minutes, so I'm not really spoiling anything. But Manhattan DA, and somehow both George Clooney and Brad Pitt get called to the same murder, and then basically it's kind of like a reluctant buddy comedy. You're like, well, I would clean it this way. Well, I would clean it that way. And it's basically then the hijinks that ensue. But I wish there were hijinks. I wish there was actually something that happened because it felt like this was just a vehicle to give Clooney and Pitt the banter for about 90 minutes if they were these fictional characters. And I really felt the movie never went anywhere. I never felt there was any stakes. They do great jobs with it. They're phenomenal actors, but I don't think that there was much for them to do with to really show themselves off. I kind of felt the premise was I wanted to see more of them in their world and how they got to where they are than them trying to figure this one particular murder out because they end up having to try and solve things. They're reluctantly solving things when usually all they do is clean stuff up. Because again, it's like, why did we both get called? There's something going on here. And then there's just a very unsatisfying conclusion to it all. And I will say, it's on Apple TV. Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
So your analysis of this is woof.
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 There it is. The analysis of Wolves is woof.
Woof.
Yeah. Do not watch it. I get it. Brad Pitt, George Clooney. You've got
watch
some big
Ocean's
names.
11.
Yes, there are so many better things with those guys in it. So go watch that stuff. And then this weekend, I also saw Gladiator 2. Obviously not as good as the first Gladiator. Those are some massive shoes to fill. But overall, I did enjoy it. I had a good time with it. I don't think I would go to pay to see this. I'm glad I went to a free screening. But if it's on, when it gets to streaming services, I definitely think folks should give it a watch. Funny enough, I think the weakest link was Denzel Washington.
Really? Interesting.
I think I just felt every time he was on screen, he just stuck out like a sore thumb in the worst way. It was Denzel being Denzel, not Denzel acting like a freed Roman slave that has he's basically in charge of the gladiators in the arena. And I just was like, this is just Denzel being Denzel. Like I didn't believe him in this time period or in this scenario or in this character. Whereas everybody else felt very much entrenched in the world. Ridley Scott has, again, some massive, beautiful set pieces, some amazing action. The Coliseum, just the Coliseum sequences were phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's good, but I honestly believe, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Denzel keeps it from being great.
Wow. That's rare.
Yeah.
What is the story though? Is it? I'm guessing it takes place like 20 years after Gladiator.
It takes place 20 years after Gladiator, and if I don't want to spoil it.
Don't spoil. Just give me the setup. Give us the setup. So I'll say spoiler alert if you don't want to hear the setup. I just want the setup. I don't want the resolution.
20 years after Gladiator, Rome is falling. The current emperors, they're twin emperors. They're as inept as it gets. And basically,
are these the successors to the emperor in the first film?
Yes. And because basically, again, obviously Russell Crowe dies at the end. There's no real big true line of succession, and the Senate is as weak as it's ever been. And basically, the movie starts where Rome is spreading itself thin as it's conquering these foreign lands, but it is still conquering, and it conquers an African city where they take slaves. The slaves are then put into the gladiator arena, and the slave that we end up following, of course, ends up being a very special slave who obviously then catches Denzel's eye, and Denzel kind of helps him rise up the ranks. Meanwhile, Denzel has his own machinations going on, of course, for all of this. And it's just kind of basically everything coming to a head to where there's a lot of different pieces. Everybody has their own motivations, right? There's some dirty senators. Obviously, again, the emperors are very inept, but they're also very ruthless. And so it's just a lot of folks in constant conflict with each other. And then it resolves at the end.
Let's just say this. So for Cobra Kai,
Mm-hmm.
the ending of the season, in terms of feeling satisfied, I would give it an even 5, which is very, okay. Maybe a 4, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Resolution at the end of this film, how would you rank it?
I would say the resolution of Gladiator 2, I would give it a 7.
That's good. Because, the first one we get damn near a 10.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, this was, again, I wouldn't pay to go see this, but if it's on when it gets to streaming services, it was 2 hours and 20. I'll say this was 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it didn't fly by, but it definitely moved at a really nice clip. Like I didn't find myself looking at my watch or anything, right? Like, Pedro Pascal was great and as one of the Roman generals. Some characters obviously from the original Gladiator come back. Yeah, I mean, again, I hate to say it, but I think Denzel was the weakest link in this.
That's interesting.
But overall, I mean, look, and again, please, somebody comment below, let me know what you guys thought. I just couldn't believe. I just never believed Denzel was the character he was trying to portray.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think they brought him on because of that. He's been very complimentary of his co-stars in this film, to be fair to him. I mean, he said they are tremendous actors.
His co-stars were phenomenal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you think about TV shows and movies, there have been very few. We always talk about this, endings that were amazing. It is always hard to land the ship. Yeah. Right. Always hard. And in an era now where endings are never endings anymore. Right. Like, cause you can always just bring people back and rehash things.
Yeah.
There's been very few endings over the last 10 years that were so phenomenal that you'd say things like, don't make another one. Great example, Joker.
Yeah.
We said it at the time. We said it right. Do not make a sequel to this film. You want a crazy stat?
Do not make a Gladiator 3. We're done.
You want a crazy stat?
We're
done. You want to hear a crazy stat?
Yes.
Crazy stat. Morbius And Madam Web
Yeah, made more money.
individually grossed more than Joker 2.
Yeah, that's wow.
It's insane when you think about it. It's also hilarious.
Yes, that is true. Wow, unbelievable.
Are you not?
That's the funniest thing about Joker 2. Funniest thing about Joker 2.
Oh, I'm not gonna see it.
No, me either.
And can you imagine this past weekend or two when all of those dads and boyfriends went to go see Wicked and then realized there's going to be another one? The amount of people who didn't know that this was only the first half. I was like, yeah, guys, it's a play. It's a musical.
Yeah.
Like, that's the intermission.
Yeah.
What happens next? Watch The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. Or go see part 2 next year.
Right.
When it coincides with The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll change it. Who knows?
Who knows?
This is a multiverse. Maybe this is an Oz multiverse.
Oh my gosh!
And they're going to remake.
People don't realize there were like 9 Oz books. Like people don't realize that. Yeah, like there's a lot of
the Great and Powerful has been retconned basically too.
Yes, yeah. I mean everything. I mean that whole what's it? Frank L. Baum. He had a universe. They could have made it. They might make it.
Well, they were planning to make that a universe and they didn't.
Yeah.
And now Wicked is taking over.
Yep. It's all about Wicked. It's all about being popular.
You're gonna be popular. Look at this closeted musical theater fans here.
Yeah.
I've
never actually seen Wicked. I admit that.
It's a cool story. It's the toast amongst theater. Like before Hamilton, it was Wicked, right?
Sure, exactly. There's always some really hot show on Broadway. Like even way back when we were kids, it was Cats which did not translate well to film.
Not at all. I will say this: that the musical theater people I know are rejoicing. Follow me here, Ray, to an unbelievably annoying level, and I am beyond happy for them. Yes. Because they deserved something like this. Just as annoying as we are when we geek out about stuff. It's funny, Ray. I was, on my feeds for a few days there was all Wicked, and I remember thinking it's a little annoying. Like it's a little annoying. And then I sat back for a minute. As me, I've been curious, not judgmental, and I was like, oh, this is probably what it's like when like a good Star Wars film comes out, and it's like all you see is Ray and I talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
So I feel happy for the musical theater people because they wanted something special. I think they got something special. All right.
Yeah.
And I will say, do
not sing along unless it is a specific sing along screening.
Oh, those are the best videos. What are you talking about? That I love it when the people in the theater try and match them, and it's like you're not them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not them.
Leave it to the professionals.
Yes.
Look,
but if you're in a sing along, go for it.
Sure. If it's a sing along screening, sing along. If it's not a sing along screening, do not do that. Because
you know why? Because most of your singing is woof.
Yes, your singing is woof, and you're going to ruin it for somebody who might not have seen the play, and who has never seen this before. You're going to ruin it for someone. The love that you have for it will not be transferred by your singing in the theater. Do not do that unless it's a specific screening for that. There's
a great clip. Elphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West. Obviously, the film ends with that magical line of her. If you want to look for me, look to the westward sky. And she has this. I'm not going to do it, but she has an unbelievable musical number here. It ends in a beautiful of her singing, beautiful notes of her singing. And there's this great clip online of this woman jumping her in the theater and singing it before she does. And then you can totally hear the difference of like what it's supposed to sound like versus what the woman in the theater didn't do bad, but it's like you're not even close.
Yeah, it's not the same level of quality.
So and again, that would be equivalent to you and me shouting out lines in the theater. Yeah. Which I don't think we do. I'm very quiet.
Unless it's Rocky Horror, no.
And we've done that too.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's also 50 years later for that one.
Yes,
so it's 100%. a different deal.
Yeah. Don't try and turn Wicked into the next Rocky. Or, if it becomes the next Rocky Horror, great. But wait till after its initial theater run.
Yes.
Because, again, it's not on Broadway anymore. And what I love is people forget Wicked was panned by all the theater critics in its pre-run.
Yep.
And then ended up being one of the biggest things ever.
It is again right now. So I'm going to say it again, musical theater people. I'm glad for you. I really do mean that. Right?
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
It's funny because someone asked me recently, Ray. I was doing some video work, and they said, "Are you in theater? Did you do that?" I said, "No, I was in choir." So I hung out with the theater kids all the time, but I was never a theater kid.
Yeah.
Right. But I had an understanding of the theater kid, and I appreciate the theater kid.
I didn't consider myself. I did the school play the last year of high school.
Yeah.
So I don't consider myself a theater kid, but similarly, I felt like I was adopted and welcomed by them.
I fit in with those kids. It just was in a different way.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is, and because the reason why I always wanted to be a theater kid, I think, but because I couldn't sing and because we only did musicals at my high school, I never auditioned until the final year, and then ended up getting a major role that had no songs, and it was perfect.
It was perfect.
Perfect.
It's funny. So, in choir, I was a jock at the same time, so I'm a little out of place there. And I would say I was a pretty average singer. I was a bass. I mean, I had my parts,
right?
But I'll never forget this: that my choir teacher, my senior year, gave me an award. She made it up for me, called the Chorale Camaraderie Award, because I had this, even then, I guess, team building philosophy, and I thought that we all had to be close, right? The sopranos, the altos, the baritones, the all of us, right?
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of weird, but no, I would never consider. I was a hockey player. I would never say I was a theater kid.
Yeah.
And I was not popular.
Yeah, no, I definitely wasn't popular.
No,
and that's the thing too. I consider myself a broadcaster, not a theater kid.
You and I both, my friend, which is why we have become the Geeks Who Like Sports. Sports.
Yes, exactly.
There's
that's the thing. Because the thing is, my high school had a TV studio, and that's where I spent most of my time in high school,
radio studio.
From freshman year to.
So I spent a lot of time in the radio studio, and then we went to college, and our powers combined, we are the best of what that department had to offer at the time, because it's not the same department anymore.
No, it's completely different. It's merged with different schools from the School of the Arts, and has grown and become this massive thing. And maybe one day I'll go back and visit. I haven't visited in like a decade or so.
We should do it together. Triumphant.
Yes. Yeah, go see Dr. Dave Sanders or something.
Dr. Dave Sanders, a mentor to us all.
Yes. Anyway, on that note, also, by the way, real quick, if you can't get enough of listening to my rambling, I guested on our good friend Ray Stacanis. He was a guest on the show.
Great show.
2 weeks ago. A couple months ago. Who would win? Craven versus Killer Croc. We did. I was the guest judge, and you might be surprised by the results. But yeah, no. Go check that out. That episode, actually, their episode, I think on the Patreon dropped. I think we'll drop on Apple iTunes soon after. If you're a fan of them. But yeah, so I want to give them a shout out. I want to say thank Ray again for having me on his show. And we'll probably have him back on our show. I want
to thank Ray for having me on his show.
But it's our show.
It's our show with Ray.
Look, no. It worked. We need both of us. It doesn't work without both of us. I think we've each done one solo show, which was fine, but
something like that. I was very sick for one.
Yes, I know. I remember I did one early on. I did one show.
I think that might have been it. Yeah, you did do one by yourself. I don't think I ever did one by myself. Maybe. But I did a show with COVID. I must have been really sick.
Yeah.
To not come on the air.
Yeah, you were super, super sick.
I was like, Ray, go on with that, man. Bury me with my Metallica CDs. Should I perish?
Yeah, it was a shorter episode. I think.
When I'm sick, I speak with this accent. Goodbye, my friend.
Well, on that note,
yeah, let's end the show.
Yes. So again, thanks everybody for listening. As we remember, to all the theater kids out there, or just the geeks who like sports, we are the geeks. That's Lee. I'm Ray. Thank you all for watching so much, as always. And until next time, this has been Geeks Who Like Sports.
The Geeks Who Like Sports musical. Like and share before you subscribe, and look at commenting.
Comment below.